is my Johnny Way? Where is my prairie song?
So that was a little introduction there by Miss Paula Cole. And you kind of got a preview of what I want to talk about tonight. I feel like since I have been doing this for the last 13 years, I have the credibility of giving a lecture. And I've been to lots of art lectures in my days, and most of the people that give art lectures have MFAs. So my argument is, if I've been doing this for 13 years, it does not take 13 years to get an MFA. So I definitely feel like I have the credibility to give you guys a lecture, right? At least on YouTube. So tonight I'm going to give my first lecture here, and it's going to be on bad art relationships. The reason being, I've recently had a little bit of life experience with this topic. Now, artists are tortured souls, and I am no exception at that, really, I'm not. But when two tortured souls come together, the recipe equals disaster. And I know this because recently my partner and I got into an argument about why he thinks that I should not have this YouTube channel because I am talking about our age difference on here, and he doesn't think I should be talking about him. And two, he thinks that I should not be letting my art dealer tell me what to do, and that I should let my work flow out of me organically. Well, here's the thing. Listen up, asshole. I realize that I've been controlled by people my entire life, and you are no exception. So if you think that I'm going to sit by idly and listen to your advice and just delete this vlog and stop talking about things, you have one thing completely messed up. That's not going to happen. I am at the point in my life where I am exploring myself and exploring my work, and I'm finally in a place where I'm doing my own work and thinking for myself, and I'm not just a product of someone else's marketing skills. That's right. So here's my first lecture, and I'm not holding back what I really think. I'm going to first talk about these two here, Ana Mendieta and Carl Andre, hot Cuban girl, older guy with a beard into minimalism. You would think it would be a fairy tale, right? Not so much. So a little bit about them to kind of figure out why this fairy tale went so terribly awry. Ana Mendieta grew up in Cuba, and she was an upper middle class girl living in a time when there were not as many rich people in Cuba. And there's this little thing called the Cuban Revolution that came along and completely tore apart her family. They completely lost all of their things, and she was shipped off to Iowa to live in an orphanage. Now, contrasting, her future husband, Carl Andre, was proud of his blue-collar roots and was completely toting this idea of Marxism, kind of putting it on a pedestal and making it glorified. And he quoted that several times. Now, you would think that someone that is really into Marxism would think twice about marrying someone that had everything taken away from them from communism, right? No, he didn't, because he thought that he could change her. And that's the thing about men, right? They think that they can change us or that they have the better idea. But she was probably just impressed because he was really established, and she had gotten some recognition, but she totally read about him in her textbooks. It's not like she was going to turn that down. She was probably completely flattered that he was after her. To his credit, though, he did do some activism, and it was all about minorities and women in the 80s, getting them into museums and represented by galleries. So this probably made her totally hot for him. Anyways, Mendieta started getting really involved with feminist politics in the early 80s. Carl was kind of stepping away from it. Her friends said they fought all the time. They were breaking up all the time. They'd break up, get back together. Completely volatile relationship because they were both artists. Anna would also ask their friends all the time who had better work. That's red flag number one. Red flag number two, she would talk about how she felt that minimalism was completely empty and soulless. Now, you would think that you would take that as a sign that you guys are completely drifting apart if she's calling the movement that you're a star of soulless. It's kind of implying that you don't have a soul, right? But it didn't end well for Mendieta, and on the morning of September 8th, 1985, they were in an argument. Something happened, question mark, fill in the blank there, and Mendieta ends up on a sidewalk dead in New York City. Art world is completely torn apart by this in the late 80s. Whose side? Did he kill her? Did he not kill her? Is he gonna go to trial? Is he not gonna go to trial? It was basically like the OJ trial of the art world in the late 80s. Anyways, we don't really know to this day. He was acquitted, and it's like, did the crazy bitch jump, or did his murderous ass completely kill her? We don't know. And that's the big question mark. Reason number one that artists should not date each other. One of them ends up dead. Okay, so our second beautiful couple here is more an example of what I would like to call the art groupie. Now, Dora Maar, though, do love her. Look how gorgeous she is. You would think that this girl could get any guy she wanted, right? Completely beautiful. Who did she end up with? None other than Pablo Picasso here, look. What's your first thing when you think of when you see these two together? Oh, who's that really hot girl with that super, it must be her grandpa, cute. No, they were banging it out together. Completely grosses me out. But he did meet her, and it really shows that she was just as crazy as him. They were sitting at a cafe, which is actually a bar in Paris, and she was playing a game called Knife Roulette, where she splayed out her fingers on the table and would put the knife down, and if the knife didn't hit her hand, she was safe. What was this charm of Picasso's line in picking her up? He asked her if he could keep her bloody finger gloves. Oh, that's really romantic, isn't it? There's nothing like a guy asking if you can keep your bloody gloves after you're done playing Knife Roulette. I guess those two actually did deserve each other. Maybe two crazies can end up together. Really crazy. I don't know. But he was old, and he knew she was hot, so he kind of kept her around. Because he knew that it's kind of like Hugh Hefner. It's the best that he's going to have going for him. He needed some more inspiration. I just get really disappointed in girls like that, in women. Like, I do not want to be one of those women like Dora Maar that was a completely art groupie for Pablo Picasso. I mean, you could have done better, Dora Maar. Pick someone your own age. And that is a lesson to myself. I need to listen to myself. Coming up now, we have our most recent art breakup, and maybe messiest yet. These two here. Now, I did see Bjork and Matthew Barney at an opening a couple of years ago, and it was in Chelsea, and she was just looking really pissed off, drinking gin and tonics. And I feel like she probably found out that he was cheating on her with one of the actresses in the Creammaster cycle. Here's them looking completely normal, deceivingly normal with their child. This is probably the happiest that I've ever seen them, because when I saw them, they were not looking good together. They looked like they were miserable. And I kind of knew then that it was not going to work out, mostly because I think that he's a cheater. And you know who he cheated on her with? This woman right here, sometimes lesbian, American painter, Elizabeth Peyton, who looks just like Bjork. That's another lesson, girls. Like, you're going to let your boyfriend or your husband cheat on you with someone that looks just like you? Disgusting. Like, can men stay in a committed relationship for once? Seriously. I'm just completely beside myself with how disgusted I am with men. And the worst part about it is that Matthew Barney did not even have the balls to break up with Bjork in person. You know how he did it? I'm friends with him on Facebook. Here's a screen capture I took of his breakup with her. Look, no longer in a relationship. Puts that on Facebook. Even Matthew Barney is using Facebook in calling out Bjork on Facebook. Are you serious? Grow some balls, men. See, this is my declaration that I am done with men, and after this, I am done with the meat. So I am going to go break up with my asshole boyfriend or whatever he is, and I'm going to come back tomorrow night, and I'm going to look into joining the Guerrilla Girls, because I certainly have learned from this first lecture here that women are the only redeeming things happening in the art world. Men are assholes. And with that, I'll check in with you tomorrow. We'll have a lesson about the Guerrilla Girls and how I am doing completely giving up men. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this lecture. And hopefully I'm not so pissed off at men anymore after this. I'm going to go break up with him. Bye.